What's up, YouTubers? PokeJediTrek's here. So today's cooking video, I didn't really plan this one in advance or anything. I thought about it at the last second, but lately I've been doing experiments with a new type of recipe on how to make eggless pancakes. And you may remember back in May of 2017 when I shot that cooking video on how to make pancakes from scratch entirely. But now I'm actually going to show you how to do it without eggs. Especially, this is actually ideal cooking. This is actually a good recipe for vegans because it doesn't contain any animal products whatsoever. Or if you are craving pancakes and you don't have any mix and you don't want any spouses or housemates who like eggs to chastise you for eating their food. Or if you just don't have access to eggs or the ability to keep them refrigerated. It actually is a good idea if you want to make them by yourself, like if you're out camping or if you have no access or access to a fridge. But anyway, let's go over what we need. So to make eggless pancakes, you're going to need milk, sugar, flour, butter, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. Because obviously this is an eggless version of pancakes. So anyway, let's go over what we need to do. So first things first, you're gonna scoop 1 whole cup of flour into a mixing bowl. Now the reason I'm only using an ordinary serving bowl is because, let's just say, because this is a version for a recipe which only calls for not that many servings. Then next you're going to add a tablespoon of sugar. It might seem like I'm only adding 2, but it's actually 1 because this is a half tablespoon measuring cup. Then you're going to add half a tablespoon of baking powder. And then you're going to need a 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. And you also need a pinch of salt. This grinder is difficult. So you're going to combine the dry ingredients together. And yes, I did add that 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. If you ever get confused by what you mean by, for those who are confused, that would be 2/8 of a teaspoon. For those who are confused, despite not being a strong subject for me, just a little bit of math facts to throw in about fractions and stuff for those who probably have forgotten despite doing the stuff in school. So next you're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter, and then you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk. It's kind of a habit of me to say 3/4 even though it's technically 3/4, but still, you should know what I mean by 3/4, you know? So now you're going to mix this up. Now how much milk you add to this will depend on how thin or thick you want this. Use less milk if you want the batter thick, but use more if you want it thin. So yeah, keep in mind when you add the milk to the batter mix. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, make sure you have a griddle preheated for depending on the temperature setting of the griddle you're using. Or if you don't have a griddle, you can alternatively use a pan and heat it up on the stove. By the way, make sure you have your griddle preheated before you can finish this off. Also, one more thing. I'm also going to demonstrate to you a very simple method on how you can tell if your griddle is hot without actually touching it, risking burning yourself. Just pour a little bit of water onto the griddle. When it starts to evaporate, because here's a little science lesson for you. When the water starts to evaporate, make sure that when the water starts to evaporate and dry up, that means your griddle is ready. I forgot to record it, but the water did evaporate, which means the griddle's ready. So you're gonna pour. So like what you normally do when you cook pancakes, is you want to pour the batter onto the hot surface. Now you don't have to use cooking spray if you're using a non-stick griddle or something, but if you're using a conventional baking pan or saucepan or something, you're going to want to spray it down. You're going to Alright, these pancakes are done. I'm going to transfer them to a plate, and then I'm going to sample them. These actually turned out pretty good. Anyway, that's how to make eggless pancakes. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. You may remember from... Cut! And why not? There's actually not much flour in here anyway, so let's just dump the rest. Okay, this is how the final product will look like. I'm now going to sample a piece.